Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about Season 2, Episode 1 of Apple TV's Ted Lasso. It's titled Goodbye, Earl. So I've been really excited to get back to Ted Lasso. If you watch my Season 1 review video, I was a huge fan of this show. It kind of snuck up on me. I didn't know it was going to be as good as it was. I wrapped up Schitt's Creek and I'm like, what else can I watch that's kind of like, you know, a good kind of heartfelt comedy, since for some reason my my blackened, broken heart was like, yeah, let me check out something that's nice and heartwarming. I don't know when I even started getting into shit like that, but yeah, I looked for this and I found it, and it was it's an incredible show, and I'm really glad I found it. There's a whole lot of great stuff about it. If you want to know my thoughts about Ted Lasso as a whole, check out the Season 1 video, but right now I'm here to talk about Season 2, Episode 1, Goodbye, Earl. And the title is based upon, apparently, I don't know if this is something I missed in Season 1, but Richmond has a mascot that's like a greyhound called Earl Greyhound. And in the opening sequence, Richmond's been on a 7-game tie streak. Danny Rojas has an opportunity to win this game for them, and his kick hits Earl Greyhound, who got loose chasing after a pigeon or something, and hits and kills this dog. So Danny kind of crashes. You know, he's going into this spiral of misery where he's upset about having killed this dog. He now says football is death. He's broken, this guy, right? So the idea is that the main premise behind the episode is that Ted's trying to get Danny back where he needs to be at, because he's like missing easy shots and shit like that. Just at practice, he can't function. So he brings in a therapist, and I found the therapist angle to be interesting, because you can tell that even though he denies it when he talks about it with Coach Beard, you can tell that Ted's jealous that this therapist is coming in and immediately having a massive impact on his players in a way that he can't. You know, and we watched him try to win these guys over for practically all of Season 1, and this therapist comes in and has a damn near a line outside her door for these people to fix her. And for somebody like Ted, who, like I talked about in the Season 1 video, is someone who gives so much of himself to help others that he neglects his own self, you know, his marriage and all that. For someone like that who gives so much of themselves to help others, it's got to be an interesting and confusing feeling to see someone else doing that for your people, and furthermore, doing it better than you are. So I wonder if there's going to be, is this therapist going to be a recurring character? Because I kind of felt like when she showed up, it was just for this Danny Rojas angle. But then at the end of the episode, we see a couple players waiting outside to talk to her. Ted looks kind of jealous, and it's making me wonder if this is going to be like an ongoing thing throughout the season, where, you know, this therapist doesn't necessarily bring like negativity or anything like that, but she creates a swelling jealousy within Ted that kind of I don't know what they would do with it, honestly, but it would still be like some sort of crisis of character for him. So that'd be interesting to see. So I'm going to talk about some of the things that I liked in this episode. I'm going to talk about normally I talk about some of the things that I didn't like, but there was nothing that I didn't like here. It was a really, really fun episode. And then I have a couple thoughts, random thoughts that I want to give at the end. So first thing I want to talk about that I noticed, and I don't know why it took me so long to notice this, because you got the entire first season here, but you know, I watched the entire first season. I'm thinking like, man, I don't know why Jason Sudeikis is so undeniably likable in this. And I realized watching this episode, it's just the accent. Like, he doesn't necessarily have to say anything particularly profound or caring. He does, but he doesn't have to. Like, that accent is just like, anything he says is just going to be like, oh. And I think that's so funny, because at the press conference after that game, Trent Krim is being Trent Krim, and he comes right out with it like, so what about this dog? And he tells this fucking story about this dog as a kid, and it's like this fucking sad ass story. And I'm like, you know, if like fucking I don't know, Mike Krzyzewski or some fucking coach that we already know who's like not really that heartfelt told that exact same story, it wouldn't hit the same way it did with Jason Sudeikis telling it in that damn voice and with that accent. So I realized, I'm like, it's not so, it's a lot of the Ted Lasso character and the things that he does and says, but it's also partially that accent, because the accent just kind of like, you just look at it like, oh, like, I feel like he could say something terrible in that accent, and it would take a minute for it to register as something bad. But I thought that was nice. I thought this was a funny episode too. You know, the show is a comedy, but you know, it can move into kind of dark places. You know, with Ted's marriage and things like that. What's going on with Rebecca trying to sabotage this team, and her ex-husband being an asshole all season. Roy dealing with Keely and Jamie. Like, it can get kind of, I don't want to say dark because that's a little extreme, but you know, it can get a little bit more into the character aspect of it on a darker level, and that can be both good and bad. And I think this show does a great job of balancing that with the comedy, because when you can interject something like that, these meaningful character moments into a comedy, that's what moves it from this is a good show to this is a great show. So this episode did great with that balance, right? Like, you have you know, we're thinking about how is Ted gonna deal with this psychiatrist? How is Roy gonna deal with, you know, not being a soccer player anymore? Like, he's coaching a girls' soccer team now. We find that out. He's apparently been offered like an analyst job with Sky Sports, which he apparently has no interest in whatsoever. And, you know, there's just all these other things going on, and you can get away from that. But this also, you can get away from that being the humor. But this episode still had a lot of funny moments. Like, I really liked when after the dog death or whatever, Keely comes in and she's like, you know, this is all over the internet, and Rebecca looks at her phone and is like, did we really make Michael Jordan cry? And I'm like, okay, so she doesn't get the Jordan cry meme, which is that a thing over there? I don't know. Like, is that just, I don't know if that's just a us thing, you know, maybe that's not a thing over there. I like the name of her little boyfriend, Wings Night. And Ted's like, is that like Monday Night Wings Night? I thought that was good. I like how they messed with Nate on when he said that the team was unlucky. And speaking of which, what's up with Nate, man? Like, Nate's being kind of a dick out here, man. Like, he treated that one guy like shit. The guy wanted to go see his mama's 50th birthday, and he's like, oh, what position does your mom play on the team? Like, damn, Nate, the fuck? But I do wonder, though, genuinely wonder if they are going to go in a direction where Nate does become kind of a dick. Because, like, Nate was so incredibly lovable season 1. Now he's got some power and some authority, and people can't walk over him. Is he going to be one of those people who doesn't handle that well? Like, you think about people who, you know, get picked on their whole lives and they get some power, like they become a police officer or a politician, and they fuck over the kinds of people that would fuck them over when they were younger. And these people might not, you know, these people don't have anything to do with that, but you just have that resentment of what it was like when you were unpopular. And I wonder if, like, we're going to see that in Nate. Is he going to be someone who, you know, he got picked on during his time? Now, is he going to start fucking with people now that he has power? Like, I'd hate to see that for Nate. Like, you don't like to see those kinds of characters, period. But you really don't like to see someone who's been portrayed as, like, nice and wholesome transition into being a dick. Like, I don't want to see that. But, yeah, but what's up with Nate? So, like I mentioned, we got caught up on a lot of where our characters are. I already mentioned Roy. We now know that Jamie's apparently on some sort of reality show. Who else? Oh, like I said, Rebecca dating this new guy. Ted dealing with this situation with Danny and this therapist, and the team being on this 7, now 8 game tie streak. So I like touching in with everybody. Like, okay, let's see where this person's at. Let's see where this person's at. Let's see where this person's at. And it was all interesting and serviceable, and it was fine. And speaking of fine, what was that the nicest thing that Roy's ever said in his entire life? About telling Rebecca, how dare you settle for fine, or something like that. Like, don't you ever settle for fine? Like, okay, wow, Roy, that was incredibly nice and complimentary. But what I do want to talk about with Roy is I was wondering what they were going to do with Roy this season. And we find out that his yoga group is really just him sitting with these women watching this reality show. And it turns out it's a show that Jamie is on, and he's just like hate watching it with these people. And the cool thing about that is we know that everyone within Roy's immediate circle knows about his situation with Jamie. But the fact that these women don't know who he is, he could sit there and watch this and watch this and hate this man around people who have no idea. They don't know why he's doing that. They don't know that he hates him. He might not even outwardly show it. He might just sit there and be like, yo, fuck this guy. And like that. But if he was doing that amongst Ted and Keely or whatever, they'd be like, you know, they'd be, don't watch this and stop dwelling on Jamie. Like, you know, they'd be, because they know. But like, that's an interesting idea. The fact that Roy has kind of made a turn as a character into somebody who can, you know, have bouts of niceness, and we think it's tied to doing yoga, when in actuality it's just another outlet for his anger. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit here and hate watch Jamie with people who have no idea. And I think that's an interesting angle for his character as well. So they did a lot of really interesting things in this episode, very subtly, but things that I find to be interesting. Let's see, I'm looking at my notes, by the way. Yeah, no, I don't. That's all I had as far as the main things that I want to talk about. But I did have a couple thoughts that I want to throw on at the end. We're introduced to a new player on the team, Jan Maas, some Dutch guy. I think that he, I guess his angle might be that he's somebody who just says whatever comes to mind and doesn't realize that whatever he's saying might be insensitive or rude. We'll see where that goes. And then I don't know if anyone noticed this, but I noticed it the instant it happened. They're playing this game with this paper ball where they're trying to hit it back and forth, Ted and Coach Beard. They're hitting this paper ball back and forth, and Nate's counting how many times they hit it, you know, assumingly before it drops. And when the therapist comes in, they stop the game. Nate's count is like 400 something. Oh, they don't stop the game. Higgins fucks it up. But when she leaves, she goes, "What's your record?" And Nate says 1,236. And that's the exact same amount of money that Roy owes from his little swear, okay, it's called swear jar, but his swear tab that he has with Keely and his that's his niece, right? The little girl that's Roy's niece. But yeah, I don't know why they would do that. I wonder if it's just for us to go, oh, or if it's actually gonna mean something. I doubt it, but I know that's an interesting decision to make, to have him owe 1,236 and for their record to be 1,236. Like, is that just a thing like, oh, let's make the same number, it'd be funny, or is that going to have some sort of relevance later? But I definitely caught it. I don't know if anyone else caught it, but I caught it, and then I rewound it to make sure. I'm like, isn't that the same number that Roy owes in swearing? So yeah, all in all, really good episode. I like the direction they're going with Roy. I like the direction they're going with Ted. I like the seeing everybody back together again and getting that dynamic and those laughs and that comfort. It's a really comforting kind of show. So like I enjoyed entering back into the Ted Lasso world. I thought it was a pretty good start. And yeah, I'm looking forward to see what happens for the rest of this season. I'm looking forward to see. I was wondering if Jamie was even going to be involved in this season, because I don't think he's in the trailers. So I'm like, is Jamie even in this? But I see they're going to find some way to work him in. So that's good. I really liked everything I saw with Roy. I'm interested in what, is Nate going to be a dick all this whole time? I'm interested to see how Ted responds to therapy. I think that they are probably going to start playing up a Ted and Rebecca relationship angle, which I am here for as well. So, yeah, it looks like it's going to be a good season. So I'll see you guys every Friday talking about each episode. If there's something deep to dig into, I'll do that here. If it's just one where it's just a whole bunch of laughs, we'll talk about it. But until then, I'll see you guys next week. Peace.